And here we are, we have made it to January 1st, 2025. I cannot believe... See, everyone always knows each year gets faster and faster and faster. I don't think I need to keep repeating myself on that, other than just saying 2024... I should basically be doing the 2027 New Year's video right now with how quick everything goes. A little bit of a smaller scale New Year's video this year to just kind of, recount the year, go over everything that happened, some themes that I noticed with life and things that seem to keep occurring with me, and looking ahead to see what we've got coming up here in 2025. So, the year started with a bang on January 4th when I was able to announce my involvement with the John Borowski series, The John Wayne Gacy Murders, Life and Death in Chicago. Here it is right here, now owning a Blu-ray copy for myself, where my name is even credited on the back of the cover. Obviously, this Blu-ray did not come out until September, but yeah, January 4th was when I was finally able to publicly announce that I was in this. I had done some stunt sequences as some of the victims, and I had shot some miscellaneous B-roll for the film, and kind of assisted in a few, ways on several occasions with the director, John Borowski. To date, that is the most popular social media post I have ever had when I revealed myself in this. So just all these people from various aspects of my life coming out, supporting me, and showing their excitement and gratitude for something like this, just because I'm in it, it was extremely heartwarming, and it motivated me even more to just keep going, and to be like, okay, obviously I've got a good reputation, and people are very excited about what I am doing, so just gotta go out and keep hitting it. And obviously January was also not long after my dad's living situation changed, so he had all these old boxes of stuff we were going through, and in the process we found all these old blueprints of my childhood home, which is a home that he and my grandpa had built back in the 80s, and unbeknownst to me at that time in January, February, that I was unknowingly setting the scene for something else that was going to be coming in the summer. That's what I mean, it's very thematic, and it really is like destiny and fate with the way certain things play out. But back in January, February, when we were going through all these old boxes in my dad's garage, most of which hadn't been opened in close to 20 years, it was a really heartwarming experience because it was very poetic. It was like real-life symbolism of my dad getting his old life back and his old energy back, and it was... Yeah, so there's a video where that stuff gets chronicled here on the channel. It's called What's in the Box. And at the time I thought that was just going to be a one-off, sweet, little thing. But when I get to the summer, I'll talk about something else that happened in my life. It wound up almost being like a part 2 to that video and that saga, but also its own thing. It's a theme of 2024 that definitely kind of rang true. But that was a very special occasion. I've still got a lot of the pictures of my dad when he was my age on display here in my room now, because that's stuff I had never seen before. So, also in February was when I got the first glimpse of the album artwork Nightbound by Find Me, which is a Frontiers Project band with my good friend Robbie LeBlanc as the lead singer. Now, this album did not get announced until July, and it did not get released until September, but the reason I got access to the album artwork in February when it was created was because they used a picture of me for the album cover. So if you look at the cover, I wish they didn't make it so dark, but if you look at it in the theme, I'm the guy changing the tire on the album artwork. So, that's pretty funny. I don't know if you can consider that being a model or not, but just being down on my knee in the dark, changing a tire. There's an angel on the car. So that was a fun little thing I got to do. And what's funny is the car on that image very closely resembles my dad's blue 1969 Camaro. So I'm just like, huh. It's, again, a little bit of a weird coincidence there. And then April, we get some cool stuff in the spring from the UK. Nick Hogg of the awesome melodic rock band Nitrate sent me some posters. And as well as, this time in the spring, I had appeared on a podcast for the VH Us podcast alongside a guy named Dirk Marshall, where he has you on to, he'll talk about a film, and his guest for each episode will be someone who has the profession that is prominently displayed, within the story of said film. And given my background at the Second City and comedy in Chicago, I actually pitched to him, there's this crazy British horror comedy called Funny Man. I think it would be perfect for your audience. Do you want to do this episode? And he had me on there. It was a very fun episode. You can hear it right now at vhspodcast.com. And that episode made it to Simon Sprackling, who is the writer-director of Funny Man. And he sent both Dirk and I all these original theatrical one-sheet posters and little pieces of film, and it was so sweet. And just so it makes you appreciate a movie like that even more when you just see the genuine heart of the talent behind it and the guy who conceived it. So that was an amazing surprise. I thought I was just going to get like one little poster or something in a little tube, and he sent me this whole torpedo-sized, thing, which was awesome. And, and then late April, I actually gave a presentation at work for personal branding, marketing and branding yourself. I gave it for the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus Foundation, because I had given a similar presentation to the college I work at, and someone I went to high school with, who was one of the assistant directors of the ILLCF, saw that and said, Ken, I think this would be a good presentation for our organization. It's a universal theme that everyone can benefit from. So I did that. I got to speak to the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus. I had about 75 attendees to that, gave this big presentation about myself, my life, and different ways I've marketed and branded myself and the different results that came out of that. So that was definitely a career personal highlight for me, getting to do something of that, ilk. A little bit more than getting killed by John Wayne Gacy, so that, and of course that did come up in my presentation too, so that was fun. And then also in April there, we had my first 2 concerts of the year, which couldn't have been any more in contrast with one another. At the Rialto Square Theater, me and somebody amazing saw the Bodines, which is a band I've always loved, and it was actually my first time seeing them live. And they're originally from Wisconsin, so I think they're a Milwaukee-based band, or somewhere in Wisconsin. I know they're right over the border. Good Things is one of my favorite songs of all time, but they played all You Don't Get Much, Naked. I love the Bodines, so that was actually on 420 that I saw that. And then 1 week after that was The Ghost Inside, which I went to with my good coworker friend, which is a deathcore screamo band, mosh pits, crowd surfing, that whole thing. Never been to that type of concert before, but it was certainly interesting, and it was wildly entertaining. And my coworker friend actually knew the members of the band, so we got to hang out with them backstage at the end, which I'm like, personally, I could care less about that style of music. It's not my cup of tea, but it was a cool night, meeting the band and stuff like that. And right after that, it was May, so boom, it was time to go to Alaska, which was my big vacation of the year, my big solo trip. And Alaska was incredible. It started with a night in Seattle where I got to visit an old college friend of mine from the Second City named Blake. It was amazing catching up with him again. I spoiled myself by staying at the Edgewater Hotel. For one night in that hotel, I spent more than I think I've spent on most weekends I've been in hotels. So that was, the quality was definitely up there, but it was just so much. But the following night we got on the ship to Alaska. I got to meet so many awesome people like Pablo, Old Lou, Kim, who lives 20 minutes from me. We found out, so Kim was awesome. And even in some of the destinations, there was always crazy stuff happening. In Juneau, we did this rainforest hike that went on for 4 hours. And when there was about an hour left, we realized we lost half of our group in the Alaska wilderness. That's always fun. The following day, we were in Skagway, Alaska, doing this gold panning dredge town. And it turned out the tour guide and I were the same age. And we share a mutual friend. A guy she grew up with in Massachusetts was a good friend of mine here in Chicago in college. So it's just like me continually finding ways that the world is just so small like that. It's I can't believe it. And then I ziplined and did an escape room in Victoria, British Columbia, and it even ended with these 2 women from Korea falling madly in love with me. I don't know how else you end an Alaska trip, but that was one hell of a way to do it. A little weird, because it came out of nowhere, and something was not jiving right with me about them, but it's a memorable way to close a trip. And if you watch the video, it's called The Last Frontier. It's a memorable way to go out. But then we get to June, which so what I was talking about with my dad, the video What's in the Box and all that stuff. Well, towards the end of May, it came to my attention that our childhood home, the one that my dad and grandpa built in 1984, and the first 13 years of my life were spent there, it was up for sale now. And I'm like, I have to do a walkthrough. I got to give myself some mental closure, some peace, because at the time I had originally moved out of that house when I was 13, it was during a really rough patch, and that didn't help, the first ever move that I had to go through and stuff. So I'm like, I need to walk through this house one last time, see it all new, see it revamped, and boom, put the exclamation point on that part of my life. And that's exactly what I did. So I set up a meeting with the realtor. I played stupid. Of course, I had to pretend like I knew nothing about the house or anything because I didn't want the realtor to know I was wasting her time. She was a very nice lady, though. Her name was Beth. And, so I did a video called Coming Home, which is almost a spiritual successor to the What's in the Box video. And I don't know if I would say fundamentally the greatest, but to me personally, on a personal level, that is probably the greatest video I'm ever going to post. It's the most emotionally in tune with me and just my history and everything that I'm about, which is living life and capturing life and making the most out of our memories and like that. I'm not ending my channel anytime soon. I'm gonna be doing this as long as there's life to live and fun stuff to share. But if there was ever gonna be like a finale to my channel, that video would have been it. I sent that to a few people who all told me that video legitimately made them tear up. I never thought any video of mine would ever have that effect on anybody. But here we are. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you go to my channel, check out Coming Home, and And then, let's see, towards the end of June, I went to another concert with my coworker, this time for a band called Lightworker, which was a disaster. There were like 4, death metal bands playing there at this venue that had maybe 7 people that showed up in this big open thing. It was a really weird venue way out in West Chicago. It was a part of this strip mall where most of the stuff was closed. And the guy from Lightworker, his name was Joey, he was a nice guy. Like I said, it's not my kind of music, but he was a cool guy to hang out with and talk with. And then the final band of the night was this Christian death metal band, and between every song they were saying a prayer and the lead singer kept crying. I'm like, this is fucking stupid, but I'm kind of loving it, because there's just so many wacky stories coming out of it. And, so yeah, that was, towards the end of June. July, go through the summer months, and obviously Flashback Weekend always happens in the summer. It's always a really fun time. Have a great time at Flashback every year with all the horror convention friends. And let's see, my birthday then, I turned 27. I'm closer to 30 now than any other age, so that makes a guy feel a certain way. And during this time I was really busy with my part-time job with the Village of Frankfurt, which I held for over 6 years, but I was starting to get really exhausted with it towards it, because I'm doing like 6 and 7 day work weeks every single week. And I was talking to my event coordinator there, Sue, and I told her, I said, Sue, my full-time job is going great. I'm building my freelance career more than I think I ever have previously, and I just don't think I'm going to be doing this much longer. And especially at that time, one of the guys who was a PA on the Gacy series, Rick Gowell, reached out to me, making this no-budget indie, silly horror flick shot on video. But he goes, I really love the way you presented yourself for Gacy, the way you acted on set, your personality. I wrote this part with you in mind. It's a drug dealer named Fuzzy. Do you want to play it? And I gave him a resounding hell yes. So that was fun. I got to go out to Darien, Illinois for a day to shoot that whole project, and meet some great people, a lot of theater actors from the Chicagoland area, and I play a drug dealer named Fuzzy who may or may not meet another unfortunate end. So between Gacy and that, I'm 2 for 2 on that so far, so maybe I should think about writing that in my contract. So that's when we get into September. Obviously September, that gets filmed, the Gacy Blu-ray comes out, the Nightbound CD comes out, and I'm getting ready for all the Halloween events in Frankfurt, pretty much knowing I'm going to be calling it with my time there soon. And so we get through that September. I went and saw with a very special friend, the Kevin Bacon and his brother, the Bacon Brothers Band. I bought an autographed poster. It was a really fun show. They played a lot of huge variety in the music. Kevin Bacon is very multi-talented. Some of his dancing on stage was a little cheesy, but I got to see Kevin Bacon with my own 2 eyes. This is what happens when I talk a lot. And so I'm 27, and my friend I was with is 21, and Kevin Bacon is like, is there anyone here under 50? Because we were the only 2. Like, it was all like an older crowd there. But so me and my friend kind of raised our hands, and I kind of stood up, and Kevin, because we were in the 4th row, we were pretty close, and Kevin Bacon goes, hey, well, thanks for coming, it's nice to see you. So I'm like, hey, Kevin Bacon just addressed me, so how many degrees is that? I don't know, but I got something. We waited around to hopefully try to meet him after the show, but he never came out. His brother did, though, so I did get to meet Kevin Bacon's brother. He was a very nice guy, told him what an awesome show it was. And then we get to October, all the Halloween stuff going on with Frankfurt, as we lead up to my return to the Sands in November, which was a great time. It's gotten really expensive. That's why I never went back to the Sands since the original one in 2017, but I was looking at this like my last hurrah with the Sands, and I got to meet some amazing friends, including Debbie and her daughter Kayla, who also is 27. We're the same age, so it was a lot of fun hanging out with them and doing a Scooby-Doo cosplay with them, seeing all my Sanders for one final time, and seeing bands like The Fix, Billy Ocean, Mark McGrath, Lou Gramm, Rick Springfield. It was a great, assortment of bands. So, would I do the Sands again? I'm going to be honest with you, no. Like, I think that I pushed it a little bit by going back this one last time after I was so sure I was never going to go to the official event again. But I'm glad I went one last time, got to see everyone, closed the book, and even had some great celebrity encounters, namely with Cy Kernan and his wife, who snuck me into the VIP section for the Fix concert. So, thank you both for that. Days of the Dead Chicago is always a super fun convention. And, and then, if you want to see my Christmas video, Ken's Christmas Holiday Hijinks, it's a pretty fun one, a lot of goofy stuff, and it does chronicle my last month working for the Village of Frankfurt, which makes it kind of special and adds a layer of depth to that video, beyond just being, the Christmas season. Because I gave them like a month's notice. I went to them mid-November, and I said, you've got me until December 31st. So yeah, it's just not worth my time anymore to be in the same place for 6 years with fundamentally no change in your status there, especially when my part-time job at the college is going so well. It's like, yeah, no, I'm focusing on that. Cutting this out, and I'm doing a lot of freelance. Gacy, Nightbound. There's something that just recently came up I cannot talk about yet, but it's really exciting, and it might be my biggest thing yet. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited. And that's where we get to 2025, where not too much is on my map for this year as far as trips or anything go. The main thing is going to be in July. So at the end of July, I will be spending 4 days in Malmo, Sweden, for the Malmo Melodic Rock Festival, where I will get to meet so many of my European friends I never thought I'd get to hang out with, as well as see bands that I never would have dreamed of otherwise, especially my #1 band from Finland, Brother Fire Tribe. I nearly shit my pants when they got announced for that, because I had already bought my VIP pass, and then they got added, and I'm like, oh my god, I get to see them! I get to see Brother Fire Tribe, oh my god! So that was a big victory for me. So that's going to be coming up in July. I can't wait. This coming Sunday, January 5th, so just 4 days from now, there's going to be a video being made. It should hopefully be a good one. It's going to be a very bittersweet video involving Blue Man Group. So that should be, something. I hope it's a good one. I hope, we capture a good thing. But the rest of the year is a pretty wide open book. There's a promotion at work that I'm gunning for, so hopefully we can get that, start saving up some more bank. And then for weekends and stuff, hopefully we find ourselves into some fun adventures and see some good movies this year, and that's all we can hope for. But 2024 was a blur. There's definitely some stress. I don't highlight any of that on my channel. I don't talk about any of that stuff because it's, quite frankly, no one's business but mine, and no one gives a fuck about my personal problems. But, we made it through everything okay. Now here we are in 2025, a fresh slate, and I did a lot of cool stuff in 2024. Like, for my freelance career and just my career life as a whole, I feel like 2024 is the biggest boost I've ever given myself, and I'm glad I came to the realization that cutting out Frankfurt finally was the right thing to do. So 2025 is going to be a year full of change and growth, like never before. 2024 kind of set the stage for that. Now 2025, we're going to roll with it. So thank you everyone who's been following me. If you've watched this whole video, thank you very much. There's a lot of fun stuff going on, and yeah, I'm going to keep doing this as long as there's a fun, goofy, energetic life to be had. So, like always, come along for the ride, and let's see what 2025 has in store.